Hello from the studio in Nitro, West Virginia. This is Unreasonable Doubt. It's a podcast about West Virginia University basketball. I'm Josh Witt. This was the 31st game of the season. It was against the Cincinnati Bearcats. It was Cincinnati's senior day. It was the regular season finale for both teams. And the regular season is over. And West Virginia lost. They lost big time today. The Mountaineers finished the regular season losing 9 of their last 10. They finished the regular season with 0 wins outside of Morgantown this season. No neutral game wins. Definitely no road wins. And today was the first time where I saw Mountaineer players visibly quit in the second half. How do you know? I've seen it. I've seen a Mountaineer team quit before. That 2018-19 team, they had a stretch in the middle of the Big 12 schedule where that was quitting. I saw it. And what it looks like is lots of dunks in a row with no resistance. And then on offense, no passes, shooting the ball with like 20 seconds left of the shot clock. So I've seen that. Josh Eiler didn't have any timeouts with 10 minutes to go in the game because he just ran out of. He tried. Hey guys, what's going on? Let's try hard. Then that didn't. I'm guessing that's what he said in the huddle, and that didn't work. And in the 18-19 season, when they were quitting, then guys got kicked off the team. Bob Huggins gave minutes to the freshmen, guys who were going to try, and it was in an effort to build for upcoming seasons. And Bob Huggins said, I'll fix it. And then Deuce came to town and Oscar came to town. And in that situation, Bob Huggins, Hall of Fame coach, staying the coach, will be there next season. He said he'll fix it in the past. He said he's going to fix it, and then he fixes it. This is not that. And it took 31 games to get to where I saw guys quit. And that's pretty impressive because that is not the situation after this season. Josh Eiler is not going to be the head coach next season. Coaching staff, very few, if any, holdovers with anybody involved. Players on the court, players on the bench. Some are out of eligibility when this season ends. If they do have eligibility, they could choose to find new scenery because there's a new coach coming in, or the new coach may meet with everybody and say, hey, you know what? Might be a good idea for you to find another place. And that's just what it is. It makes it completely different. And when you say there's nothing to play for, I don't think that's true. I still have some goals, some selfish goals for this team, and I know that Coach Eiler has that as well. But where they're at now, they've got to win 5 games in 5 days in Kansas City and win the Big 12 tournament for the first time since WVU's been in the conference. And if they did that, it would be, make no mistake about it, if West Virginia goes to Kansas City and wins 5 games in 5 days to win the Big 12 tournament and get an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament, it would be the most improbable 5-win stretch, not just in basketball history, maybe human history. I guess you can't. No, I'll stand by that. The most improbable 5-game run in human history. And because that's what it would be, that is not going to happen. But goals are still in place. Goals that I said a while back that they still haven't achieved. 10 wins, still a goal that can be achieved. Technically. Like, they'd have to win their first round game in Kansas City next week. 2 wins in a row. It's a goal that still can be achieved. That involves winning Tuesday and then winning Wednesday. Technically, that's possible. And they can be the bad loss on an NCAA tournament bubble team. I think they've got to get to the second round to do that, but they could still do that. Technically, still could be achieved. What I would say after watching them today is to not hold your breath on any of those goals being reached, right? I mean, Josh Eiler in the post-game press conference, when asked if a version of, is the team quitting, what's going on? And Josh Eiler said what he did not say is this team didn't quit. He said, I don't know, and talked about inconsistency. So if the answer is not these guys haven't quit, then let me interpret that for you. They did quit. And again, we made it all the way to the season finale when really you're not playing for anything in that. It doesn't change. Listen, West Virginia was the 14th seed coming into this game. They could have been the 13th seed. So 1 seed difference in the conference tournament. And they're going to go into the tournament ranked 14th. And yes, there's stuff to play for next week. Will that change how this team looks and how this team hustles and how this team plays defense and how this team rebounds and how this team takes care of the ball? I have doubts, but you got to get to the end of this season. You do. And every season ends. This was going to end sooner than others. There's 14 teams in the Big 12 Conference. Since West Virginia's joined the Big 12 Conference in the 2012-2013 season, you want to take a guess who has been in last place going into the Big 12 tournament the most? Not West Virginia, right? I mean, we had that Press Virginia run. We had Deuce McBride. I had to look, and here's the results. 4 schools came to the Big 12 this season. So let's not include them, but a note there, every team that entered the conference this season did not finish last place. Spoiler alert. Houston won the thing. Houston first season in the Big 12, the gauntlet, the Big 12, they shooed that aside and said, you know what, we're taking it all. And they did, convincingly. Thumped Kansas today. So congrats to the Houston Cougars on that success. So leaving those 4 schools out and just the 9 schools plus West Virginia, there are 3 schools that have never finished last. One's pretty easy, the Kansas Jayhawks. Another one fairly easy, the Baylor Bears. The Oklahoma State Cowboys. In these dozen seasons, it's not like they've been a pretty picture every year. They've been towards the bottom, I would say, in most seasons in the bottom half of the conference. Never finished last. So congrats to those 3 schools. I would have not have guessed Oklahoma State had not finished last. 7 more to go. 4 schools finished last once. Kansas State, Oklahoma, Texas, and Texas Tech. Each of those schools finished last once. Next, you got Iowa State, who had the distinction of being last twice. And now we're running out of schools to name. There's 2 schools left, and I haven't said the one that this podcast is about. TCU has finished last in the Big 12 3 times. And now, with this loss today, WVU joins TCU as the schools with the most last place finishes in the Big 12 and 12 seasons. So, congratulations. It's such a hard season to parse the individual statistics. 4 of the top 5 leading scorers for this team missed a combined 39 games due to suspension, denied eligibility, injuries. being sick because you're trying to get eligible. Only Quinn played in every game of the top 5 leading scorers for this team. And you have Offrey and Jeremiah playing the first few games of the year because they only had 7 or 8 guys. So all that's true. And all that contributes to the win-loss record this season. But when you look at per 100 possession numbers for all of the transfer portal guys, what's scary in a 9-22 season so far, the numbers for the portal guys look pretty similar to what they averaged in their collegiate career and how they did compared to last year. In most of these cases, against lower competition. And I could argue that Kerr, Raekwon, and Noah, those numbers would actually look better if they played the non-conference schedule that those guys missed. But individual statistics say it's about what you expected. No, that's not true. It's about what they averaged coming to West Virginia. And of course, your hope coming to West Virginia is that they peak and that their numbers take a jump. And that didn't happen. Kerr's shooting numbers improved this year. Shot really well from 3. Everybody's defensive numbers took a dip. Jesse Edwards, not surprising. Even though he played a lot of 2-3 zone this year, his defensive rating and defensive numbers slipped from his time at Syracuse. So none of that is shocking. What about the guys that were here last season? And it's a small group, but how did they do? Did we see improvements in the core 4? Kobe Johnson absolutely improved statistically from last season. Consistent starter, not nearly invisible, significant contributor to a team with the losing record, but he did. The question is, did Kobe Johnson improve this season from last season? And the answer is yes. Yes, he played more minutes. Yes, he had more of a role, but the per 40 minutes, the per 100 possession stats, there's improvements there as well. It's not just him doing the same thing with more minutes. So kudos to Kobe Johnson. The numbers match the eye test of that guy wasn't nearly invisible this season. Patrick Sumnick, he improved over last season for sure. And even if he didn't, I would tell you that Pat Sumnick improved from last season because of the Kansas game. It's a 1 game sample size, but watching that Kansas game and watching Pat Sumnick be one of the main reasons that West Virginia defeated, Kansas was not Kansas this year, but that's the name. And West Virginia did defeat them, and Kansas is going to the NCAA tournament. And Pat Sumnick had a career game that game, so he's improved. Josiah Harris is a mixed bag statistically. Like some of the things that are down, his rebound numbers per 40 and per 100 possessions are definitely a big jump. And in the plus-minus stuff, you would make a case all season long that Josiah Harris should be on the floor and that good things happen with lineups with Josiah Harris in them. Seth Wilson regressed this season, and I've got crazy scoring stats for both Josiah and Seth. They're crazy to me. And listen, scoring is not the only part of the game, and you can absolutely contribute to winning without scoring baskets. See Cam Thurman, see Gabe Osaboyan. There are guys who can contribute, and that's not their role. Their role is not scoring. I would say for this team, it needed some points when the main guys maybe were off. You needed some contributions from key contributors. These guys were in the rotation all season. I would argue that Josiah is close to what Cam and Gabe's role were in that, hey, go rebound. But he was also asked, he got plenty of open threes and opportunities to score. Seth Wilson, no one would argue that Seth Wilson is in the same vein as Gabe or Cam in his role. Seth Wilson, I'm projecting his role coming into this season of being a microwave guy. Get him in. Let's see what he's got. Can he make shots? And that never happened this season. Here's the crazy stats for both these guys. Josiah Harris last season didn't score in 8 games, and he played a combined 33 minutes in those 8 games, right? This season, he didn't score in 9 games, but that in those 9 games, he played 125 minutes. It's startling that he could have 9 games, 125 minutes of minutes on the court where he doesn't score a basket or a free throw. Nada. Josiah started 3 games this season, and he started more than that, but there were 3 games that he started and did not score a single point. That feels like voodoo or some kind of, I don't want to use curse as kind of overplayed this season, but how do you do that if you're not like a Dennis Rodman or some kind of specialist? It's amazing. It's ridiculous. It's not amazing. It's ridiculous. And Seth Wilson, last season, he didn't score in 6 games. He played 35 minutes in those 6 games. His junior season, his 3rd season with WVU, Seth Wilson didn't score in 12 games, including today. And he played 123 minutes in those 12 scoreless games. So between those 2 guys, that's 21 games and almost 250 minutes of playing basketball where there's 0 shots that come from their hands that goes through the net. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2023-2024 WVU men's basketball season. I mean, you can't make that up. It's crazy. It's crazy. Unreasonable Doubt is under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Have you been on the Smoking Musket Discord? There's a link to the Discord in the show notes. You click on that, you enter the Smoking Musket Discord, and it's got channels like TV. But these channels is where you type stuff in, and people who are in the Discord can read what you type in. And it can be about WVU basketball, WVU football, the other sports outside of college, television, movies, degenerate gambling, just naming channels. All sorts of good stuff in the Smoking Musket Discord. It's definitely a cool place to interact with other WVU fans. Click on the link, check it out, go to smokingmusket.com, listen to West by Pod, do all the things under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Smoking Musket. The next game for WVU will be in Kansas City, Missouri, the Big 12 tournament. And the Big 12, they're getting out all the team foods. Like they'll have the West Virginia pepperoni roll represented in the arena for purchase. Every school has their food item of choice. 4 teams have the honor of playing in round 1, West Virginia being 14th out of 14. They will be one of the teams that play in round 1. It'll be the second game of the day. It'll be on ESPN+. The game will tip around 3 p.m., depending on what happens in that first game. And WVU gets a rematch with the Cincinnati Bearcats. And West Virginia gets a rematch with the Cincinnati Bearcats. So as bad as today was, West Virginia split the regular season with Cincinnati. And this actually happened to the Mountaineers 3 years ago, where West Virginia lost a close game at Oklahoma State in the regular season finale. And then they played them the first game in the Big 12 tournament again, and Avery Anderson did his work, and West Virginia lost to the Cowboys 2 times in a row. The Bearcats are not predicted to make the The Bearcats are not predicted to make the NCAA tournament based on the bracket matrix. They're going to have to make a deep run to even be considered. West Virginia, I don't guess this counts as a goal of being the bad loss since Cincinnati's not on the bubble, technically. But it would be nice, especially if with today where West Virginia quit, and they haven't quit in the games prior, in the 30 games prior, to have an opportunity where there are stakes in this. Technically, if you win, you keep playing. And maybe these guys don't want to play anymore. And I would get that. I wouldn't like it, but I'd get it. But as far as something to play for, in a tournament setting, you're playing to win the tournament, even if you're the 14th seed. So you're going to Kansas City. A lot of talk in the Smoking Musket Discord. Like, do we have to go? Do they have to spend the money and go to Kansas City? Yes, they do. They're going to give it a go. They're not forfeiting. I don't know if I've seen that where a team has forfeited the conference tournament. It's been that bad of a season. You just pull the plug after the regular season. So if you're going to go, why don't you hang out for a while? And I guess you could hang out and not win games, but stay. Stay as long as you can. They're not winning 5 in a row. They're not winning 4 in a row. And they're not winning 3 in a row. But you could win 2 in a row. Why not? 11 wins, mess up somebody's tournament resume. A lot of these guys, this is the end of their college career. This is what you're going out on. And again, I totally understand if that ship has sailed. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you understand? Like, you wouldn't like it, but you'd understand it. Anyways, that game's on Tuesday. Most likely that'll be it. We'll see what happens. That's it for this episode of Unreasonable Doubt. Listen on all the platforms. Or just pick one: Apple Podcast, Overcast Podcast, Pocket Cast Podcast, Amazon Podcast, YouTube. Until next time, I'm Josh Witt. This has been Unreasonable Doubt. WVU, for the 2023-2024 season, they have 9 wins and they have 22 losses.